from the break. If you're just joining us, this is the Morning Cruise right here on Value Chain TV, and we're still in the studio. Now, moving on, we want to look at the current speculations and also strong indications that petrol prices will be increasing anytime soon. And then also we want to discuss about the ministerial list, knowing fully well that today happens to be the inauguration of the newly appointed ministers by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and also confirmed by the Senate. We have a public affairs analyst with us here in the studio in person of Mr. YANGE IKYAA, and together we'll be looking at what really is the possibility of this petrol prices, shooting up anytime soon. You're welcome, Mr. Yangi. I was so excited to
Thank you.
have you today.
My pleasure.
Good to know. So we're going to start off with the speculations going around and also a very strong indications that petrol prices will definitely take another round of increase. So we really want to know, as a public affairs analyst and someone who is vast in the oil and gas industry, we want to know how true is this speculation, because Nigerians are eager. They want to know, really, is it really true? Will it happen anytime soon? Is there a possibility of that?
Just like you said, currently that is at the level of speculations. But of course, the news is filtering in, from where exactly Nigerians are picking up those signals. I do not know, but that may not be unconnected with recent trends where the fuel prices moved from just below 200 naira to over 200 naira, then to 400.
And now 637
around
naira.
600
Yeah.
and of course, I bought fuel for 650 in this country, traveling around. So, if there are speculations that increases could come in, we cannot deny that and we cannot confirm that. We'll leave that for those who are responsible for managing the market and ensuring price stability. But of course, you know that sector has been deregulated, which means that the market will fix its own prices.
Of course.
Yeah, depending on how much you get your refined products and then bring it into the country at what cost, that determines what the end user will pay for. And so I must say that since we're not refining locally so much yet, it's possible that prices could go up and also come down, because that's the reality of the market. Prices either go up or come down depending on what it's obtainable from the buyer, and then what the seller can offer and what the buyer can afford, so to say.
So December is almost close.
Yeah.
We're in August, and then Nigerians, we love to travel every festive period because some persons will want to go see grandma, see family, relatives, and all of that. And then Nigerians are beginning to say, okay, so if we have this fuel price going up, and then there's still another speculation of this, another round of the increase of the petrol, how do you think that the present administration can be able to, help tackle the increment of this petrol prices? Because the marketers are saying it's due to the landing cost, which of course has increased. So what do you think that the present administration can be able to do, to just help lessen this? Every day we wake up, our minds are beating that, the next thing we're going to hear is an increase in the petrol product. So what do you think the present administration can do to help, lessen that?
Yeah. Currently, we are in this country left at mercy of the market.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we cannot 100% depend on the market to give us solutions, because there are challenges as well. Free markets, yes, we love that. But these free markets also have to be protected from abuse. That is where the government can ensure that people don't take advantage until advantage
Sure.
of Nigerians. Of course, in business, you thrive on advantage.
Of course.
But we have an issue, or we have issues, where business people begin to take undue advantage of citizens. Of course, that will throw us into energy insecurity. And of course, you should know that the primary duty of any government is for the protection of lives and property of its citizens.
Of course.
That means the security of its citizens, including energy security. So we can't take that out.
Take that out. Sure.
But in the short term, it is very difficult to say that Nigerians will be adequately protected from the challenges of energy shortages.
Okay.
Of course, we can look at it in the long term, meaning that we have to support the refiners or those who are setting up infrastructure for refining, like the Dangote refinery and the modular refineries that have already been in place and have been refining, but marginally so, because we've also heard stories of shortage of crude, which has been promised to those modular refiners. And that is actually as a result of the preference for export of this crude, which can earn us dollars. So we really have to see a situation where this current government, which is actually very new, taking over the responsibility of balancing the need for export and the need for domestic refining, so that we can actually also be protected energy-wise. You know. Yeah.
So, Patience, do you have anything for Mr. Yang?
Before
Yes.
price hike. Well, the increase as the landing cost increase was said has increased by 37.4%.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I don't know. All around, a lot of states, a lot of governments have been coming up with palliatives, from CNG buses to free buses, reduction in working days for workers. Do you think these palliative measures would go a long way in helping? And do you also think that it would cover like most the masses, those on the ground roads? Would these palliative measures actually reach them? So that it will help to a point reduce the effects that all this increasing.
Yeah, that is very important. I can't criticize them because they are making efforts. Governance is a continuum, and some of these problems we face cannot be solved in one day, what an instant. And we always have to look at what is possible immediately, what is possible in the midterm, and what is also possible in the long term. These approaches are not the same. They have forms in which they come. So what I can say is that the palliatives you're talking about, some of those things I don't actually call them palliatives. They're actually businesses that should be able to take advantage of the current policies on ground. Fuel subsidy removal, fine. The cost has moved up of fuel per liter. That means that new businesses have to bring in solutions. For instance, mass transport vehicles. That is what is obtainable in every economy or country that really wants to move forward. We don't really individualize to be able to move forward. We move forward together in an economy, which means that we have to adopt group activity, group purchase, group patronage. And what I mean by this is, when everybody wakes up in Nigeria and wants to go to work, we look at it as a form of luxury. When we jump into our own car without even giving anybody any lift. I drive alone to work and I drive alone home. It doesn't happen much that way in some of the advanced countries. In fact, in all the advanced countries, most people go to work by train. That's why people can go to work living at a distance of from Lagos to Kano, and they go to work every day and they go back home, and even farther than that. And the cars are normally used for just shuttle within the neighborhood. That's why we can use them for 20 years in Europe, and then bring them to Nigeria and sell. And we call them second new when someone has used it for a quarter a century, 25 years. You know, so if we begin to look at the common sense of providing decent buses, at least even if we don't have metro, you know, as in the shuttle trains within our cities, we can begin to look at decent buses. It happened in Lagos. We had them. When Nasir El-Rufai was FCT minister in Abuja, he was able to provide that.
Yes, and those buses were actually named after him, the El-Rufai buses. But then, Mr. Yange, this brings me to my next question. I was actually coming to that, you know, using El-Rufai when he was a minister of FCT providing these buses. And then also in Lagos, we have the BRT buses too that has really helped, you know, in moving from one place to another. But then this brings us to the maintenance. Okay, so we know that when these buses are being given out, of course, yes, the minister who is in charge of, you know, rolling out these things to help lessen, you know, the burden and the stress of every Nigerian moving from one place to another, going to work and all of that. But then the maintenance system is really low. Whose fault is that? Is it that there's no right, or how do I put it, right office to, you know, look into maintaining these buses? Because there are sometimes you see these buses, they are really looking out of place. Some are being broken down on the road. You know, there was one time I was within the central area. There's this place where cars are being parked. I think it's from the VIO people when they, you know, seize cars and they, you know, and then you get to see these buses there dumped there. So who is responsible for the maintenance of those buses? Who are we going to hold responsible? Because when that time comes, people need to be accountable for certain things in this country. I think that's the only way we can be able to move forward, when you hold people accountable for certain things that are supposed to be done and they are not done well. So who do you think should be held responsible in maintaining those buses to make sure that, you know, we don't go back and start all over again? Because presently, as it is now, if those buses are being introduced in Abuja, it's like we're going back all over again.
I can explain precisely how these buses were managed during El-Rufai's time. Because that was a long time ago, before I started paying attention to public issues. But what I can say is that the arrangements I'm hearing about from what Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu is saying, from the feelers I got in the media, it's going to be an arrangement between the Lagos State Government and a private company. So this is going to run as a business, you know, and they are going to stake their own money, and the Lagos State Government will also support with a certain level of involvement that can allow them to have oversight, you know, and ensure that the service is delivered. But when it gets to a point where private money is being put in, you know, the owners of the business also try to ensure that the business succeeds. Because normally the money is used in running business. Most of the money is borrowed.
Of course.
You know, so you also need to work, pay your lenders, pay your staff, and also make profit, which is actually the primary reason for setting up that business. So since I'm actually aware that private hands are going to be involved in running this business, it may likely succeed and also be very efficient during its lifetime. That is as opposed to what used to happen during Abacha's time. I'm not criticizing him, but I know that there was a federal mass transit bus scheme,
Okay.
that were just given to people, and it was run down, because it was taken as government as property. It's no man's business. It's not my father's business. It's not my mother's business. I'm not the owner, and it's just a national cake that should be shared and enjoyed as much as possible by all who have the opportunity at the time. So I think the new concept will be much different from that. So I see it succeeded. Yeah.
So we really hope it is what it is. We really hope so. So let's still come back. Refineries. There's no way we can talk about petrol in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will not exclude our refineries. We know presently now we don't have any refineries working in Nigeria. Am I correct?
Yeah, especially the government-owned
Of course,
refineries,
yes.
which are the
Refineries,
biggest,
yes.
apart from the
biggest,
Dangote.
exactly. We're still going to still talk about the Dangote refinery too as well, because when the news came up about Dangote inaugurating, or rather opening his own refineries, a whole lot of people were excited. Oh, okay, we think the end to the whole fuel issue we're having in our country will go down and all of that. And not until when we heard, not this year, 2024, which, okay, it's a good one. Let's give them enough time to prepare before they kickstart. Now, coming back to the refineries, we presently know that none of the refineries in Nigeria, government-owned refineries, like you earlier pointed out, are not working presently. What are the measures that you think that this present administration can put in place to kickstart those dead refineries in helping us to sort out these petrol issues that we're having currently? Because this issue is tied to so many things. Food, increase in food prices, moving for one, cost of living, everything is high at the moment. So what do you think present administration can be able to do, to kickstart, even if it's two, if we can start off with two, at least I know, the whole hardship would lessen a bit, and then we can be able to say, oh, okay, we've been able to, bring up two refineries or revive two refineries, and then let's see how we can be able to move, to help the um, oil sector, and then see how we can be able to, still bring up another refinery to add up to the two. So, what do you think present administration can be able to do? I beg your pardon, to kickstart these refineries and hit the ground running.
I strongly believe that we have just one thing to do,
Okay.
and it's simple. It's for this current government. It's for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reject the lies
Okay.
that were told to former President Muhammadu Buhari for the 8 years that he stayed in power. And the lie is that, if you remember, there were multiple deadlines set. I mean, within which the government-owned refineries will begin to work and refine and also move product into the Nigerian market for consumption. That never happened. The deadlines kept shifting. So for once, I never believed that the refineries were going to work. I knew that he was being told lies. I had written stories on that. If you like, you can Google it and you'll see that. But it wasn't in my position. I wasn't to be seen as an expert.
Of course.
I have not even worked in the refineries. But that never stopped me from having the privilege or opportunity to get information that those refineries may not work at the time that was being given that they will actually work. So I do not believe that those promises of giving us fuel from those refineries are actually going to be fulfilled. I think it's safer to say that. I'm not saying they are telling lies, right? But I have the right to believe or to disbelieve. In this case, I'm choosing to disbelieve. And I need to be proved wrong. Because what I said was not proven wrong for 8 years. So I don't have any reason to believe. I mean, if the time given is just less than 2 years, why should I believe something that didn't happen for 8 years? I was not proven wrong. So why should I believe to be proven wrong in 2 years? So it's just for...
It's a renewed hope. So we hope, yes, it's a renewed hope. So we hope, it's just like what I and Patience were discussing. We're hoping. So all of us, the whole Nigerians, will put our hopes together to push the renewed hope, and then let's see what comes out of it.
We have to remain hopeful.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to remain hopeful. I'm not hopeless in any case, but I wish them well. I wish them good luck. But for me to have my hands on something, it must really be tangible. So the safest thing for me to say is that the president should know what to take and go to market with, and should also be able to know what to question or dispute in order not to be carrying baggage, needless baggage, and giving us needless hope, in order not to be called a liar in due course. So that is just what I can
Thank
say.
you so much for that, Mr. Yange. So today is Monday, as we know, the inauguration is going on of the newly appointed ministers by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A whole lot of Nigerians are asking questions. Particularly, let's start with the appointed FCT minister, a person of Nelson Wike, who happens to be the former governor of Rivers State. I personally, I have the strong belief that he's going to deliver in FCT, going by what he did in his state as when he was a governor. What do you think about that?
First of all, Nyesom Wike is a Nigerian. He's entitled to be appointed by any president of this country if that president believes in him. So when you're forming a team of people who will work with you in a cabinet, you actually make those appointments based on your belief in the capacities and capabilities and competencies of those people. And especially when such a belief standpoint is verifiable. And Wike as a person and as a public officer has been able to show some elements of that. When he was in Rivers as governor, even though he was throughout that period in the opposition, because his party was not in charge at the federal level. It was that did not even deter him in any way. Even at the point he was having quarrels with the president.
He was still performing well.
Yeah, he was still performing well. So I want to believe that the FCT really is a place where, apart from providing security, which is actually not even in the hands of the FCT
minister in the first place.
Yeah, in the first place. Your focus as minister is on infrastructure. It's purely infrastructure. And that was actually one of the things that even those who did not like Wike could not fault him. Both his enemies and friends, and those who were neutral, they had one word that the guy did well in terms of infrastructure. So more or less, we want to believe that he has the capacity to run a modern city. Because Rivers, which headquarters is Port Harcourt, is one of the 3 or 4 states or cities. I mean, in this country where you can say that managing the population and the complexities of those places is tough.
Sure.
And he was able to deliver on that. Challenges with security, challenges with road infrastructure, with urban decay, with flooding. I think it's even an opportunity for him to manage the issue of flood in the FCT, trade more. So if he can manage a coastal city closer to the ocean, closer to the Atlantic, with the waves pounding in, I think narrow canals will actually be an easier thing for him to manage. And so I think it's a welcome development.
Oh, that's good.
It's a round peg in the round hole as far as FCT is concerned. I look forward to a very successful tenure. He may even be
one of the best FCT ministers would ever have.
Probably the best.
Probably the
He has
best.
the capacity
Probably
to do
the
so.
best.
Yeah.
So before Patient pops up her question, you spoke about security, which brings me to my next question. Of course, we know that 2 persons have been appointed. One who is going to be the Minister of Defense in person of Mohammed Bajoru, former governor of IKYAA State. And then also we have Bello Matawali, who happens to be the former governor of Zamfara State, as the Minister of Defense for State. Now, I have my fears, I have my worries, and I'm not just the only one. Nigerians, because I've gone through social media, to see that Nigerians are not comfortable with that peak, particularly the Minister of Defense for State, which happens to be Bello Matawali, former governor of Zamfara State. We all know that during his tenure as governor, he failed woefully. We all know that is in the records. Even residents of Zamfara State are, condemning Tinubu's, appointment towards that person. During his tenure as the governor of Zamfara State, he did not perform well in security, neither did he do well in the educational sector. But let's just leave all of that. But security, majorly, because that's his portfolio. Do you think he would? What do you think about that? Do you think he was a bit caged in Zamfara State as a governor, and now that he has been appointed as the Minister of Defense for State, he will do better? Maybe we're going to see a different Bello Matawali. I don't know. What do you think?
I think of all these appointments that the president has made, this ministry in question, this ministry under review now, it's one of the 2 ministries where I have been as confused as the person asking me that question. But people have different reasons for different actions. And I want to believe that the president must have had his own reasons. I tried to check the profiles of these 2 personalities, those 2 personages. And what I could see was that they were former governors and have held positions in public governance in their states, either as governors, and one was also in the Senate.
Yes.
Yeah, if I'm right,
yes,
if my facts are right. Yeah, but what I actually was looking out for was to see whether they had had any experience in security services, by virtue of educational training, by virtue of professional service, or consultancy service,
or something related.
Or something related to any of this.
Yeah.
So the only relationship that I could find linking to Matawale was that's relating to security, was that he suffered a lot of insecurity while he was governor and was helpless. So that was the only qualification I could see of him.
Maybe, just maybe I was thinking while I was reading through people's comments, I was like, just maybe, they said experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
You never might know, maybe with the experiences he has had
And
as a governor, having tied hands towards trying to see how he can be able to help the security issue in his state. Maybe he has gathered a whole lot of experience from that. Who knows? But my fear is hitting the papers today while we were going through the newspaper review. We saw that 25 local governments in Sokoto, 23, thank you very much, in Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, and one on Kebbi were attacked by bandits.
This seems
Yeah, we are at war. Nigeria is at war. We may not be experiencing that here, but those states you're mentioning and those local governments are in Nigeria.
Of course, yes.
And that's a lot of people. We're talking about millions of people now under attack.
Of course.
Which means that Nigeria is at war. Actually, those people who have been waging this war for the past almost 20 years, sometimes we say they are technically defeated, sometimes we say they have surrendered, sometimes we say they have been weakened. We hear all those things. But the true state of the situation in those places can only be explained by those who are receiving the heat. And these are the victims that you are saying have just been attacked, unfortunately so. I think the assailants or the aggressors want to test the patience of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They're just testing the waters. And new ministers of defense have just been announced. So maybe they are just trying to give them an immediate assignment so that we can know whether they are capable or not. So it's up to them. It's their responsibility to be able to show us that they are now around here and that they are capable of doing the job at hand. Of course, every country in the world has security challenges.
But that's
US,
Nigeria is
UK,
becoming something else.
Yeah.
That's what Nigeria is becoming something
There are
else.
peculiarities.
Yes.
That's our own peculiarity. So they should develop particular solutions to those challenges. And I hope the president can give them all the support that they need to deliver on those assignments.
So, patients, do you have anything concerning the ministerial list for Mr. Yangi?
Okay, so from all analysis we've made so far, what I would say I've gotten so far is, because while going through the papers too, if you remember from I think Independence, citizens gave a list of things they're expecting from this minister.
Sure.
They said they want to see improvement in education. No, first security.
Of course.
Security was the first, and then agriculture, and then we had education and a whole lot of other things. They wanted to see, they hoped to see improvement in the crisis of pollution going on in the Niger deltas, and so the person that has been assigned there, so they are hoping to see increase and improvements better there. So from all analysis we've made, I'm beginning to now see that, can we come to a conclusion that assigning or appointing a minister, you should first consider the field and area of study that that minister has has more knowledge in, so that you're able to, okay, if I put this person here, you should be able to do better there, and that's why that's why that person was appointed. So we are now can we come to a conclusion and say that ministers should be appointed based on certain criteria like qualifications, educational experiences, places they've worked in, things they've done in past with likes of Wiki. And can we come to that conclusion?
Let me say that it's all about knowledge and competencies. And that comes through trainings, professional training, educational training, and then also previous records working on certain projects over time. And you have that kind of experience that can enable you to deliver on your job. So educational background is very important.
Very.
is very, very important. But it is not always so, because education may be different from experience. For instance, when the transmission company of Nigeria was concession, because I want to give the example because it's an energy related example.
Of course.
It was concession to Manitoba Hydro International, a Canadian energy firm, which took it over to manage on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. It was a concession for a period of time, beginning from 2012, I believe so. So the person who was the MD of TCN at that time was called Mark Karst. He's a Canadian, and his university education at bachelor's level was in political science. But he had exposure in that sector, working overtime, and was able to, relate with that sector at serious managerial level. So that is where professional experience can be able to help someone to deliver on that. Then there are people who seek knowledge generally, universal knowledge. There are people like that.
Yes.
That you may take them and put them anywhere.
And they will
perform well.
Sure.
Not because they are starting there, because they have been looking for knowledge across board. One example is Dr. Kayode Fayemi.
Sure.
When he came in, he was not a geologist, he was not a mining engineer, and he was made the Minister of Mines and Steel. So, to the best of my own knowledge, I have not known one minister that did as well as he did within the 3 years that he was there, until he voluntarily resigned to go and contest for governorship in his state. And the examples are there clearly for everybody to see. So then another case is Ibeka Chukwu. He's not a lawyer. He's not an engineer. He's not a geologist. He's a lawyer. But he was MD of Chevron in Nigeria. And he did well. And from there was made the GMD of NNPC struck Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. He was holding 2 positions in one until later on when it was split between him and Mekanti Baru. He's a lawyer, well experienced in oil and gas law. So that enabled him to, that was where he got the competence to be able to perform that. And he still continues to be sought after, even out of office, for public speaking at conferences. He's booked here and there around the world to be able to share his knowledge with the industry. Even the engineers seek to listen to him. You understand? Yeah. So educational background is very important, but also professional experience. And then, especially for people who take it upon themselves to be able to have continuous education, to be able to learn and to be able to know about every other thing. So that is what I can say on that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mr. YANGE, Public Affairs Analyst. It was such a pleasure to have you today on the morning cruise, and we hope that we're going to see you again. Do we know you're a bit scarce? a bit, but we had to drag him. But we're so excited and we're so happy he was able to make it through, and then also, give us his view on what he thinks about the ministerial list, particularly the FCT appointed minister, and also the Minister of Defense, and also Minister of Defense for State. Thank you so much for coming.
Always my pleasure.
We're still going to drag you again.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So viewers, let's go on another break. We'll be back shortly.